Hi, everyone. Really quick before we get into today's episode, I want to give you a quick trigger warning. We discussed the destigmatization of abortion and how that plays a role in women's health. And I know this topic can be emotional, it can be heavy, it can be challenging depending on where you're at personally. So I wanted to give you all a heads up. But in true not aspirational fashion, we find levity, we yap, we lean into the girlhood of it all. I learned so much. So I really hope that you like it. I hope you learn something new. I hope it makes you feel safe and seen and less alone, as I always aim to do with this show. Anyway, I love y'all. I hope you're having a great day. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Not Aspirational. I'm your host, Hannah Aaron Brown, and today I am joined by a very exciting, very special guest. She is the founder and CEO of Abortion Positivity Project, the former executive director of Eleanor's Legacy, as well as the former finance director for New York State Attorney General Letitia James. She's also the founder of the Vaccine Vigilantes and a veteran of the campaigns of many prominent women elected officials. So she's a total baddie. She's also appeared on Guys We Fucked, which is truly a formative show for me. So I'm a bit starstruck right now, but I'm so excited to have her. Please welcome Sophie Nir.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so hyped to have you on. To kick things off, will you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself to my listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hello, listeners. I'm so honored to be here. My name is Sophie Nir. As Hannah said, I'm co-founder and CEO of the Abortion Positivity Project. We are an organization that works to destigmatize abortion and shift the national abortion narrative away from one controlled by anti-abortion extremists. My background, mostly, as you said, is in politics and electing and supporting women. My passion has always been abortion advocacy, and abortion access. I'm a Swiftie, a Pisces, and a lifelong New Yorker, and I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, Pisces, watery. Love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to ask you something about this. We will get into like the nitty gritty of all the amazing things that you just mentioned. But as a Pisces, do you find that like as a water sign, you get emotional in your line of work because you're doing some like real shit with, I mean, politics like is emotional. At least to me, it always is, which is also part of why I'm like, I hope I don't fuck this episode up.
Oh, that's such an interesting question. Yeah, I guess so. I think that like I am definitely more prone to being emotional around things that I find moving versus things that I find sad, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And I feel like that's the perfect way to be for your line of work.
Thank you.
In the spirit of transparency. And making this just a cozy space. Because here at Not Aspirational, like my main goal is always to just make people feel less alone, make people feel seen, make people feel safe, which is why I just feel like you're such a great guest. I'm so excited to talk to you. But like full disclosure, like when we got in touch, I was nervous to like talk about abortion because I felt like I wasn't like smart enough to talk about it, which is like weird because it's like, we should all be able to talk about it. And I think that points to the stigma around like conversations around abortions. The fact that like I as a woman was like, oh no, is it okay if I talk about this? Am I going to say the wrong thing? And so I'm just like excited to have you here to like talk about this whole destigmatization around the abortion conversation.
Well, I love that. And I'm very sorry that you felt like you're not smart enough. That is so far from the case. Not only are you more than smart enough to manage this conversation, but also this whole dialogue is about the public zeitgeist national conversation around abortion. And that is a conversation that is being dictated by people who are far, far, far from experts, right? So if like there is no barrier to entry to contributing to political discourse or to contributing to the national conversation around abortion. We are all doing that naturally just by existing in our society. So the more prepared that we can be, the better we can advocate for abortion and abortion access. And that's really like why I'm so excited to be here, because if you don't like, you are more than smart enough, but if you don't feel prepared, no problem. Let's prepare you.
No, and that is I think where I'm coming from, because, and I've said this on my show before, like I'm someone who, I'm like a terrible, like, I don't even want to say the word arguer, because I don't think that sounds more aggressive than I mean, but sometimes I feel like when I'm engaging in conversations about topics that like I really care about, I get emotional, and like emotions lead the charge, and I can't like organize my brain into like facts and logic mode, which I'm sure in your line of work, you've had to have a lot of conversations where you go into facts and logic mode, perhaps with an
Yes.
emotional person coming at you about how they feel about abortion.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to like unpack all of this. Can you, like, how
Yeah.
do you
Wait, can I
think?
respond to that though?
Yes, please.
Because the first thing I want to say is like, I never approach a conversation around abortion expecting to have an argument. And that's because abortion is overwhelmingly popular in the United States. Overwhelmingly popular. Over 80% of Americans support abortion in at least some cases. So when we are really primed by the national narrative, by the media, by political discourse to feel like we are coming from a low ground, and we, as abortion supporters, have the overwhelming high ground. So when we're talking to someone about abortion, there is a over 80% chance, even higher, given the kinds of people that we are often having conversations with, that person also already supports abortion, and maybe they are not doing so in the most well-informed way or the most strategic way, and they can be helped and supported in that. But we don't need, also, I always say, if you're having a conversation around abortion with someone who just is a vehement opposer, an enemy of abortion, just say, have a good day and walk away, because we do not need numbers. We have numbers. What we need is strategy. We need our people to come together under a strategy that works. We do not need to convert any anti-abortion people into pro-abortion and abortion supportive people. We have the numbers.
That was like so healing to hear, because I do think like a lot of the anti-abortion people are the loudest people, especially on the internet. And so like, yeah, I mean, it can feel vulnerable to engage in those conversations, even though they're so important. And even though abortion is just healthcare, it's just like
Yeah.
women's healthcare, but it's become something else, especially in this climate. And it can get really overwhelming to be like, how do I even like approach this topic? But I also think that's helpful too, what you just said about like, we're not trying to convert people, and we don't need to, because we have overwhelming support. That's like,
Yeah.
it's so healing, because I think the notion of trying to convert someone scares the shit out of me, because people get really fucking worked up and scary about abortion and just, certain political stances in this country in a way where it's like, I as a woman don't always feel safe, having those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, think about who is profiting off of that, right? Like, there are media companies, both in the social media side and the more traditional media side, that are profiting off of selling this lie that abortion is a contentious topic that many people oppose. That's not true. It just isn't. And we're being sold this lie, and the faster that we can get it out of our own heads, the more successful we're going to be as a movement.
How do you think like shame and stigma kind of play into abortion and conversations around it?
Yeah, I would say like 100%. I think the entire national conversation around abortion is really dictated by anti-abortion extremists. And that includes the way that quote unquote pro-choice or abortion supportive people talk about abortion. And think about the things, I don't like to repeat the things that I hear because I don't want to like put them back into the universe.
Right.
But just everything we hear about how abortion should be rare, about how abortion is a tragedy, about how abortion later in pregnancy should be more regulated than abortion earlier in pregnancy, i.e., some pregnant people should be forced to be pregnant or give birth against their will, right? All of these sorts of narratives that seep into the dialogue of quote unquote pro-choice people, those are all coming from the anti-abortion extremist minority. And the way that they talk about abortion is really doing our opponents' work for them.
Mm, that's interesting. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's also wild how, like, we're recording this. This is a podcast episode, but I think about, like, even in my personal life with, like, close friends of
Yeah.
mine, I feel like, what am I, like, how do I talk about this and what do I say? And it is interesting how,
Hmm.
like, I've always been a pro-choice person, like, obviously, but
Hmm.
feeling like, I think in my brain, it's always been like, well, I vote the right way. I identify as this more liberal party. So, like, I'm in the clear, we're good. I've done the work because I vote the right way. But as far as like having the the right way in my eyes, in a way that aligns with my morals,
Hmm.
and values. But like, I think even, I think the fact that even on the pro-choice side, there is still an issue in how we're processing information around abortion and how we're talking about it is something that I never really thought of before.
Yeah. I mean, so as I said before, over 80% of Americans support abortion. And yet abortion access in America is in the worst place it's been in 52 years, right? So there has to be a disconnect there, right? We have to be doing something wrong if we
Hmm.
have the overwhelming majority and we're still losing. That
Hmm.
means that we are doing something wrong, right? So if we look like, I mean, I'm familiar with the political party that you're referring to.
Hmm.
Um, and if we look at the way leadership in that political party talks about abortion, it's overwhelmingly stigmatizing and abortion negative. And
Yeah.
we always say at the Abortion Positivity Project, we always say with friends like these, who needs enemies, right?
Hmm.
When President Joe Biden, who was a president representing the only major American political party that claims to support abortion, says things like, I don't support abortion on demand. I'm not a big fan of abortion. I, I am not for late term abortion. These are all things that he said publicly about abortion. And I mean, you'd have to dig a lot harder to find something positive he said about abortion. I don't know if it even exists.
Hmm.
Right. But he was like the great white hope for abortion access in America. He was the Democratic president when
Hmm.
the Dobbs decision happened and Roe v. Wade was overturned, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence that even though there was a Democratic president, a Democratic Senate majority, a Democrat House majority, when Dobbs decision happened, you may notice that nothing happened on the
Hmm.
legislative front to uh, fix, reverse, prevent this tragedy, right?
Hmm.
So clearly, the Democratic Party is not going to save us. And if they were, they would have already done it. I don't mean to disparage any party. We are a nonpartisan organization. We're a 501c3. So I'm just, we just look at the climate. We see what the politics is up to. And unfortunately, what we have found is that truly all politicians or all political parties are hostile to abortion, some more overtly, some more covertly. But at the end of the day, we are where we are. And it's not because we as a quote unquote, it's not because we as abortion supportive people have been doing amazing, have been doing amazing the last 52 years.
Yeah. God, the
Yeah.
Democrats are truly in a flop era of like epic proportions, and like you really
Hmm.
hate to see it. And it's so true, that idea that like
Hmm.
for so long it was like Democrats are good guys, at least in the way I was
Yeah,
raised. It was like
of
Democrats are the
course.
good guys, Republicans are the bad guys. As long as we have a Democrat in office, everything will be fine. Everyone is safe. And that did not happen.
Very much not. And
Yeah.
the Democrats have foregone every opportunity to do something at the national level. At the state level, that's a different story, which is great.
Hmm.
But like when we look at the rhetoric that leaders in the Democratic Party use, not just Joe Biden, but Joe Biden, very famously, when talking about abortion, it's very clear that the idea that the pro-choice Democrats, quote unquote, are the solution to this problem
Hmm.
is just truly not the case. And when you hear the way that like someone like Joe Biden, who, as I said, was president when Roe was overturned,
Hmm.
talks about abortion, it becomes very quickly unsurprising that he wasn't the great savior
Yeah.
at that time.
In your appearance on Guys We Fucked, you did
Mhm.
mention that Abortion Positivity Project is a nonpartisan organization, which like I was just saying,
Yes.
that struck me because I always saw this as such like a partisan issue where the
Mhm.
Democrats were on the right side, Republicans were on the wrong side. That's not the case.
Very much
How
not.
so like how do you think the pro-choice movement has failed to gain narrative control in our country?
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, the first thing I want to say
Yeah.
to that point is that not only is Democratic leadership extremely abortion negative and stigmatizing towards abortion, but huge number of Republicans and Republican voters and registered Republicans support abortion, right? When we saw Florida, which is a rather Republican leaning state,
Hmm.
had 57% support for their abortion ballot initiative, right? So
Wow.
clearly a relatively significant percentage of of registered Republicans and people who voted for the Republican presidential candidate won, by huge numbers, and then their
Hmm.
abortion amendment got 57%, right? So clearly plenty of Republicans are also supportive of abortion. That's an
Hmm.
important, right? So it's extra nonpartisan because not only it's not a Democrats are the good guys, Republicans are the bad guys situation, but the Democrats aren't the good guys and Republican voters are supporting abortion. And when we polarize and when we talk about, abortion in a partisan way, we really leave those people out. And what we need as abortion supporters is just this huge national majority that completely defies party affiliation. So we don't want
Hmm.
to alienate any of those people either by suggesting that they shouldn't be, supportive of abortion when everyone should be supportive of abortion. Um,
Yeah.
so that's sort of one piece of it. But the other part of your question, which is a great one, I'm going to start with our best friend Bill Clinton, who popularized the phrase safe, legal, and rare. Um, Safe, legal, and rare is it was a Bill Clinton, like, essentially like his philosophy on abortion that started in the
Hmm.
90s, uh, really permeated culture and society and became like the official Planned Parenthood language that they were using for
Wow.
decades. Yeah. So obviously, if we're suggesting that abortion should be rare, we are actively saying that there is something bad about it, right?
So
Um,
true.
and it's really that kind of narrative, this safe, legal, and rare narrative. It's this nobody would ever choose to have an abortion, but it should be an option. Even the we aren't pro abortion, we are pro choice. I never identify as pro choice. I'm pro abortion. I'm very proudly pro abortion. Abortion saves
Mm.
lives, and abortion allows women and people to determine their own destinies, and abortion creates freedom for people. Like, I think abortion is an amazing thing, and I'm
Hmm.
proudly, proudly, proudly pro abortion, right? So even the fact that we as a movement have distanced ourselves from affiliating and identifying with abortion to say that we are quote unquote pro choice, right?
Totally.
All of these language decisions, which were very, very intentional, right? These have all been focus grouped and have permeated the culture over decades, really lead to a culture that is extremely abortion negative. And there is like the major majority of, abortion supportive people have completely lost the reins and are now doing our opponents' work for them by speaking about abortion in an abortion negative way.
You just cracked my brain open and like dumped it out like a
Okay.
purse. Well, as far as just like in this conversation, I've been like, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-choice.
Hmm.
I didn't even think how
Yeah.
deep that goes because it's so
Yeah.
like in my
Of
brain,
course.
in my
Of
brain
course.
purse to not say I'm pro-abortion.
Of course. For
But
sure.
like
Because
I am pro-abortion.
yeah, and I mean, like, to be esoteric about it, like, all of us are sort of choosing between options that are presented. And if the society that we live in and like the the sort of confines of the social like the way that we are socialized and how we grow up, these are the options we're given. Are you
Hmm.
pro-choice or are you the other thing that I'm not going to say? Like,
Hmm.
those are the two options, right? And this is how we talk about abortion, and you can talk about it on, in the left part of the spectrum or the right part of the spectrum, but this is the spectrum. We got to break the spectrum, because the spectrum has been completely co-opted by anti-abortion extremists, and we've lost the plot entirely.
Okay. I recently saw a TikTok about
Great.
Lena Dunham was we're in the right place if we're on TikTok,
Yeah, for sure.
I saw a TikTok of Lena Dunham, like the interview footage was like 10 years old. It was like when Girls was actively airing, but she was talking about how she wrote this character, Mimi Rose, who got an abortion, and she talks about it in this like very like cavalier way. And Lena Dunham said like, I wanted to write like a character who like wasn't tortured by it, like who wasn't tortured by the choice to get an abortion. And I wanted to ask you, do you think the way that abortion is presented and discussed in the media like plays a role in how we as women, and honestly just as a society, like internalize shame and feelings around it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it goes in both directions, right? I think that like the cultural abortion stigma really affects how abortion is represented in the media. And I think how abortion is represented in the media really contributes to this cultural stigma. So I think it's like sort of self-fulfilling in both directions.
Yeah.
For sure. But so, we do a lot of things at the Abortion Positivity Project from a programming perspective. But one of them is we go on podcasts and we do collaborations with content creators and traditional media and social media, and we try and bring abortion positivity into the types of media spaces where people are already giving their attention, just like this, because we believe it's effective, right? We believe that like if people like the messaging around abortion that people are exposed to is the messaging around abortion that is going to seep into their brains. And if you're watching Girls, you're going to get it from Girls. And if you're watching Sex and the City, you're going to get it from Sex and the City. And if you're listening to this podcast, then hopefully you're going to get something better from this podcast than what, the rest of the cultural conversation has to offer you. But I absolutely think that makes a lot of sense. Also, I have a policy. Speaking of Sex and the City, I have a policy where if I'm watching a TV show and at any point a character decides to have an abortion, goes to an abortion clinic, and at the abortion clinic changes their mind and goes home, I stop watching the show entirely. My sister is an abortion doula. She works directly with abortion patients, has for years and years and years. This has happened to her with 0 patients. So it only happens on TV. It drives me insane. I think my like conspiracy about it is that the reason it happens is because like the actress is pregnant, but it doesn't really make sense for the character to have a baby. But like they have to have a baby because the actress is pregnant. Yeah, I don't care. It drives me insane. Yeah. I just like completely stop watching the show. Many series have fallen in this way. Sex and the City, The Good Doctor, The Ranch. Like I was just like, guess I can't watch this show anymore. But it really, really matters how we portray abortion in the media. It really matters. And some shows do it great and some do it really, really bad.
What's a show that does it well?
I think Girls is a great example of a show that does it well. Sex and the City, really bad. Really, really bad. There's been some great abortion storylines. I have to think.
Well, we can always offline about it and I can report back to the listeners.
Okay. Yeah. Let me think about it. Cause I like watch more reality TV than I do regular TV at this point. So we're getting fewer and fewer abortion plotlines. I read a lot of books that have great abortion storylines. I just read a book called Evenings and Weekends that had a surprise late in book abortion storyline that was really good.
Oh, great.
Which was good because I was like so close to the end and I was like, if this goes bad and I have to stop reading this book, I'm going to be beside myself because like I'm like 2 books behind on my Goodreads goal. I'm like, we can't be messing with this. Yeah. The Rachel Incident, another great book.
I've heard great things about that.
A great abortion storyline. So yeah, I have to think of TV shows.
I love this though. So, okay. So here's something too, because I'm also like, I'm a writer and I'm into TV and film and all that stuff. But like when I think about like getting an abortion, like if I were to get, I'm just gonna speak for myself. If I were to get an abortion, I don't know how I would feel, but in my mind, I'm like, that might be like emotionally heavy or like challenging. I might have my own feelings around it.
Yeah.
But I think what the media does is it conflates if a woman is like sad or kind of feels like fucked up about like the fact that she had to make this choice, even though it was the
Yeah.
right one, it's like, then how could abortion be positive if
Mm,
it hurt the person who had to get one emotionally, even though it was the right choice for her? And I think
yeah.
that's a problem because it's like getting an abortion could be a fucking terrible day, but it's doesn't mean that getting an abortion is a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it could be
100%.
a shitty thing to have to go through, and you could just kind of
Yeah.
like lay in your bed after and like eat a pizza and like feel weird for a second, but it doesn't mean that that was the wrong choice or a bad choice for you, you know?
Absolutely. So, okay, actually, I thought of one. My favorite TV show abortion is In You're the Worst. Um, that's my favorite one. It took me a second, but I got there.
Hell yeah.
Um, have you seen that show? It's
No.
oh my God, it's so good.
Oh my
It's
God.
so, so good. And they have, I think there's a couple abortion storylines on You're the Worst. They call it a Bobo, and they have a tradition where they get their abortions and then they go to Marie calendars and have pie. And it happens like multiple times throughout the series.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, so that's my favorite TV abortion. But to your question. So first of all, I'm going to define abortion positivity.
Please.
Um, so we say that abortion positivity is a framework for understanding abortion without any stigma or judgment. Abortion positivity centers the positive impact of abortion and understands abortion as a social good. That's the like dictionary definition that we wrote, so Medium Dictionary, of abortion positivity. So when we're talking about abortion positivity, first of all, we are always talking about the way we contribute to the cultural and political conversation around abortion. We are never, ever talking about policing someone's personal experience with their own abortion or
Mm-hmm.
policing someone's conversations with their own healthcare provider or anything like that, right? Those are
Mm-hmm.
two totally separate things. And I think that when we are talking about abortion positivity, we are talking about abortion advocacy. And when we are doing abortion advocacy, we need to, or any advocacy, right? We need to be doing advocacy in service of a goal. And that
Mm-hmm.
goal is for abortion to be safe, legal, affordable, accessible, and stigma-free. So when we talk about abortion, or when I talk about abortion, I think to myself, is what I am saying right now in service of that goal of making
Mm-hmm.
abortion safe, legal, affordable, accessible, and stigma-free? If it is, I say that thing. And if it's not, that doesn't mean it's not a valid feeling. I just don't say it, right? I can't tell anybody what they should feel. I can only
Totally.
tell you what is or is not beneficial to say when contributing to the cultural conversation around abortion in service of that exact specific goal, right? So I think that it is, perfectly valid for anyone to have any emotions around their own abortion. With that said, I do think that shame is taught. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that people who feel shame around having abortions, again, you are more than entitled to your own feelings, but I do think it's valuable to sort of just examine, where are those feelings coming from? Are those feelings serving us? And if not, who are they serving? And, I think that if we lived in a world where abortion was less stigmatized, then people would feel, you know, more positive and more confident around their own abortions. But with that said, everyone's entitled to feel anything they do. And I will
Totally.
say, like, when I founded this organization, my mom said my mom thought that it was like really funny that I was founding this organization because since I was a little kid, have had very, very extreme medical anxiety. Um,
Mm.
so like very extreme medical anxiety. Like I was like, my pediatrician said I couldn't go there anymore because I was like disturbing other kids by crying so loud. Like,
Oh
yeah,
my
like
God.
so yeah, like so I think that like I as an individual, like I really understand the difference between like the feel like your individual or one's individual feelings around like their own medical experiences and their interactions with the medical system as entirely different than when we're talking about, you know, abortion access in a cultural, societal, and political context.
Mm-hmm. So well said. I mean, and thinking back to that girls reference I was talking about, like how, Lena didn't want to write a character who got an abortion who was tortured by it. And instead, Mimi Rose was like super matter of fact about it and was like, oh, yeah, like I got an abortion yesterday. And Adam's like, what? Like, you didn't tell me. And she was like, I didn't really see why I had to. I just went and did it. And she's fine with her decision. And I think it's like, to your point, it's like, whatever feelings you have come up, if you're in that situation, are yours to have. But it's true. It's like, are you tortured by it because you are tortured by it? Or are you tortured by it because society is telling you that you did something wrong as a woman because you had sex? And sometimes when you have sex, you end up getting pregnant when you didn't want to. Like, shit happens.
For sure. For sure.
And like, the fucking guy got his rocks off. Like, he had a great time.
For sure. Right. And like, there is I think like so much of abortion rhetoric, if you really dig down to it, is like, or abortion stigmatizing rhetoric really boils down to women should be punished for having sex.
Yeah.
Like that's a really foundational part of it. Yeah, for sure.
God, it like makes me nauseous. It pisses me off so much.
Totally. And also like I hear people say things all the time like abortion is so sad. No one's happy to have an abortion. No one feels positive about how people who like, a certain generation of women who really align with the more safe, legal, and rare failed type of rhetoric that's already proven to not work. Yeah. They say to me, and they send me emails saying, nobody feels positively about having an abortion. Nobody's happy to have an abortion. And I say, you have no right to assign someone else emotions about their own experience. Right? Like some people who have abortions feel extreme relief. Some people who have abortions feel a wide variety of other emotions. And it is not our responsibility, nor is it appropriate for us to like assign feelings to anybody else based on like what they are going through in their life.
Totally. Similar but different. Like I feel the same way about like grief, like conversations around grief where it's like, oh, like you're not crying, so you must not be sad. And it's like, well, no, like you don't get to tell me what it looks like to be sad or what it looks like to grieve. And again, it's like there's no wrong or right way to do it. You're just a human being doing your fucking best. And however that manifests itself in you is no one else's fucking business.
For sure. Of course. Right? Like, absolutely. I think those things are like very, very related, actually. Like the way we feel about endings, whether it be of someone's life or someone's pregnancy, I think are very intertwined.
Or endings of marriages.
Yeah.
Like divorce. Sure. Some people are like, you should not date for this long because you got divorced and you're not over it yet. And it's like, what if someone was like fucking hated their marriage and then when they got divorced they were like Nicole Kidman in that iconic photo when she's like right after she divorced Tom Cruise and she's like, slay mama, I'm gonna go on a date now.
Of course. I mean, one of my best friends was in a marriage and her husband was physically abusive to her and her being, like her getting out of that marriage was like the best thing that's ever happened to her. It was like a tremendous freedom, for her safety, for her wellness, for her future happiness. Like it was amazing, right? So like there's just no value in like pretending like we live in a world where like all endings are sad.
So true. So true. Endings can be the best. And I'm also so happy for your friend that she's in a better situation now. Forced pregnancy is a punishment for women having sex. This is, kind of something we've briefly touched on, but I want to like dig into that more. Like, what is the alternative to like freely accessible abortion? Like, it can't be good.
Yes. Right. Yes. So that's an amazing leading question. So like, I would say like the biggest lesson that we teach in our training, which we run very regularly, is that the opposite of abortion is forced birth. The opposite of abortion is not birth control. The opposite of abortion is not adoption. The opposite of abortion is not getting pregnant in the first place. The opposite of abortion is forced birth, right? So, and that is like true at any stage in pregnancy. That is true if someone got pregnant for any reason. The only alternative to someone who wants to access abortion care, being able to access that care, is forcing them to be pregnant or give birth against their will. So when we reframe the national abortion conversation, that is like, I think, the most important thing, right? If we talk about how people feel uncomfortable about abortion. How comfortable do you feel forcing someone to give birth or be pregnant against their will? Right? If people say, oh, well, I support abortion at, this many weeks of pregnancy, but I don't support abortion at that many weeks of pregnancy. Okay. So if someone's at that many weeks of pregnancy, are you going to force them to be pregnant and give birth against their will? Mm-hmm. Once we start having that conversation, that's when we have won narrative control.
Okay, follow-up question. Some of these are just coming to me in the moment. What can I say? Follow-up question is like, what is like, do you as someone who's like trained in all of this have like canned phrases that you can say to spread abortion positivity in your day-to-day life, whether you're talking with like friends or family or like strangers on the street?
For sure. Okay, well, the first thing is I spread abortion positive friendship bracelet.
Cute.
Which I wear all the time and hand out.
Love that.
So that's one way that I spread abortion positivity. I would say like big phrases that I come back to are abortion is freedom, abortion saves lives, the alternative to abortion is forced birth, all abortions are valid. There is no abortion. Abortions earlier in pregnancy are no more valid than abortions later in pregnancy. Abortions that are abortions to a pregnancy that were a result of rape and incest are not more valid than an abortion that was the result of consensual sex. Every single abortion is equally valid, right? So all abortions are valid is something that I say a lot. These are all phrases, I'm sure I'll think of more, that we kind of like rely on as the sort of pillars of the abortion positive movement. Particularly like when we say abortion saves lives or abortion is freedom, that's like a real reframe from certain things that you hear from like the pro-forced birth movement around, what they say abortion is. Again, I don't like to repeat my enemy's talking points, but if they say abortion is murder, I say abortion saves lives, right? I'm not having their conversation. I'm having my own conversation. And that's the fact, right? Abortion saves lives in so many ways, right? Pregnancy is extremely dangerous in a variety of ways. And abortion saves lives by allowing people the freedoms to get out of life-threatening situations, and also in like the very direct way of their pregnancy is killing them. So it's like there are a lot of ways to apply this sort of abortion positive language, but I do think that those are like some good phrases to land on.
Hell yeah. And then this is another question. If I had like a friend come to me and be like, hey, Hannah, I'm getting an abortion. What's like something I could say as a supportive friend to that person to just be like, not to belittle what they're going through, but also to just be like positive and be like, okay, great. How can I be there for someone in my life if they come to me with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that the two things that you should be in that situation are, first of all, affirming. You want to affirm their decision, make sure you know that they are not getting any form of judgment from you, that you are completely supportive of what they do, that you're sort of mirroring the emotions that they are feeling and affirming their emotions, right? And then the second thing you want to be is reassuring. Everything is going to be okay. They are safe. They are in an environment. They have you to lean on and you are trustworthy. You are going to make sure that they are able to safely get to the next steps of booking an appointment or getting medication, right? Everything's going to be okay. So those are the two.
I'm like about to cry. I don't know why I'm so emotional. I just like wish everyone had someone to say those things to them when they're in that situation, and it like breaks my heart that not everybody does.
Yeah. And also, there are so many women who are in states where you can't really say to them, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
Because maybe it isn't, right? Like there are so many women who have, pregnancies either wanted or that they want to have what they want to terminate with an abortion, where they are in active harm, right? Like they are
Right.
actually in danger. And it's tragic that, their governments are putting them through that. It's horrendous.
It's literally like Handmaid's Tale nightmare. I had to stop watching that show after like season 1.5 because I was like, I actually cannot do this. I'm not having a good time.
I think I made it. I made it about that far, but when I was watching the pilot, I paused it like every 5 minutes. I was like, this is like so scary, and I'm so anxious, and my nervous system hates this show.
No, literally, my body rejected it. It said, "Not for you, Hannah.
Yeah,
Not go back to your Real Housewives. Go back to your Vanderpump Rules, where things are safe." And like, safe is a loose term on those shows, but like spiritually, for me, I feel safe watching reality TV people fight and have sex.
Yeah, me too. I'm a below deck girl.
Love that. I dropped off after like Kate Chastain left, but like I know there's a lot more to explore.
Yeah, first of all, there's like 5 different below deck franchises now.
I'm a little overwhelmed by that.
There's like a lot to explore, and then they keep doing the thing where there will be like one person from a previous season. So then you have to like watch that season too, and then you want to watch the next one, and then they like have it like roll over in various ways. So like they really keep you hooked.
You're like in like it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but like the Below Deck Cinematic Universe.
Literally. Like that's actually
alternate realities all at sea.
Yeah, no, literally. Like, but all like extremely like hot people like on a yacht. Like it's crazy.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, seriously, if you're in that tight of a room with like a hot person, what people are going to have sex. Like, it's just the boats are so tiny and they're like shoving past each other to get their work done. It's like the whole situation is like inherently very horny.
Yeah.
And I like that. I should go back and watch Below Deck. Thanks for the tip, Sophie.
This season is very good. I'm enjoying it greatly.
Wait, which season is currently on?
The like Below Deck proper debut, like
okay, OG,
the titular Below. Yes, okay, sure. Like Below Deck OG is on right now, and it's like very lesbian in a way I'm really, really enjoying.
Hot.
And it's just a very good season.
Fuck yeah, let's go. I love that.
Yeah. And there's like all these women, and they're like, instead of like hooking up with these men, we're gonna hook up with each other, and then the men become wholly irrelevant to the plot. Oh, it's my favorite.
I love to see that. And also it's like we're not hooking up so that a straight man can be creepy and watch and think that it's sexy. It's like we genuinely would rather fuck each other than any of your asses. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love
great.
that.
Yeah. So I recommend this season.
Oh my God. I literally, the second we log off, I'll just boop, turn it on.
Literally.
Is there anything else that like you want to say or that we haven't touched on? Because you've answered so many of my burning questions, and this has been like such a life-giving conversation. I did not expect to cry, but like that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about so much stuff. I think like what I will say is like abortion is a like pivotal life-saving freedom for like all people, women and beyond. And the way that the conversation has lost the plot, it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like we as abortion supportive and pro-abortion people, we can do better. There is another way. So the options that have been presented to us by society, we don't have to take any of them. We can like do our own better thing, you know?
That's so metal. And honestly, like the fact that like you are like the safest person I could have this conversation with, and I still was like, oh no, I'm gonna fuck it up. Oh, I'm gonna say the wrong thing. Oh, I'm gonna no. Like just speaks to a bigger problem, which is that like everyone should feel like they can engage in these conversations, especially like we're not going to change anything if we're too scared to even talk about it. And being scared to talk about it is a trickle down effect of, you know.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling scared to talk about abortion, just remember that your opponents and people who know absolutely nothing are talking about abortion. So don't sit out.
That's great advice. And I will take that with me. Thank you so much. Do you mind indulging me in a segment that I have called Grow Up, where I name a situation that I think people need to grow up about and we really quickly like unpack and see how we feel about it?
I would love to. That's a dream.
Okay, great. So this week's grow up is when you're at a girls' dinner and someone suggests you just do it tapas style. So everyone pays like
Oh.
$70 and leaves hungry. And in my opinion, I say grow up. Also, charcuterie is not dinner, it is a snack. Same with tuna tartare, same with fried Brussels sprouts. So when you're sharing those
Okay.
items with like five other people, you get a literal like bump of food and you pay so much money. And I just think we need to grow up and be like, no. I reject, unless we're going to order enough food, tapas style for like 10 women, like does not work.
Whoa. Okay. I have news for you.
What?
This is like a California problem because in New York, I live in New York. I'm from New York, born and raised. In New York, it's like, oh, there's 10 of us. Let's order food for 60 people.
I have to move.
And then we have the most food in the world.
Oh, do you take to-go boxes? Like, what if you have somewhere to go after
Yeah.
dinner? Great.
Well, then like we do if we can.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I actually like what you are describing, it sounds awful.
It's
It's
hell.
never happened to me before. Literally, it's like, should we get that? Yeah, and that too. Yeah, and those three things, right, of course.
Sophie, that's gorgeous because I'm like thinking back to specifically like bachelorette parties or like
Oh my
group
God,
trips
yeah.
I've gone on where it's like, I don't want to be the stick in the mud that's like, fuck that idea. I'm getting like a plate of pasta.
Hmm.
I'll have the tuna tartare to begin with, but don't get like 50 appetizers and tell me that that's dinner. That's a snack. I don't care how many of them there are.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to
I mean,
insult
I
like
definitely
proper.
agree.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not like trying to
I
insult like proper like tapas style dining. I understand that that's like a thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like
no.
small plates as dinner. I don't buy into that propaganda.
Yes. Also, because I turn everything into feminism,
Yeah.
like what you are describing, which is hell, is like based in women feeling shame around eating,
And let's talk about that.
right? Like, yeah, like
And then
because our bodies should be smaller and like whatever, whatever.
we should take up less space, blah, blah, blah,
Exactly.
blah.
And we
Yeah.
should be like thin because if we're more thin, we're more like valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I,
yeah, in New York, we don't do that, honestly. Like we in New York, we like literally eat so much. So
I
that sounds
have to
rough.
visit. I honestly should just move. I should just literally leave California behind and say, New York, here I come. I heart NY. I want to go to
Yeah.
NY and just NYC, if you will, and just get like a
Hmm.
giant plate of pasta. I know I
Yeah.
brought that up twice in the last like 2 minutes, but when I think of New York, I think like Italian food, spaghetti.
Right.
And
Right.
like the thought that I could order that at a girl's dinner and it would not be like a problem. In fact, it would
Yeah.
be encouraged.
It
That sounds
heavily
really cool.
encouraged. And girls' dinner vibe, I would say like it would be like, okay, there's two of us, let's get three pastas just to make sure. Because we want to try all, like we want to
Totally.
try that.
No, totally. And I will say, I think in my LA like friendship journey, because you know it takes a while after you move to a city to like find your people. I
Yeah.
will say I've found like girlfriends that are very much that vibe of like, oh no, like we're gonna start with this, but then we're getting like several entrees. Like let's share a bunch of big portions and like have a blast.
Hmm.
And that is like really helpful. But like
Yes.
in my 20s, like when someone would be like, let's just have the charcuterie for dinner, I was like, what are you fucking talking about? It's a glorified
No.
Lunchable, and I'm an adult woman. Like, and we're also presumably drinking alcohol too. Like, are you crazy?
No, that's not the vibe. That's
Grow
like
up.
that's so not it. No, absolutely. That's like grow up. That's bullshit. That's outrageous. I'm sorry this is happening to you. Like that's so not the vibe on the East Coast. Also, like it's cold here. You have to eat pasta.
No, that's what
I
when
mean,
I
not
have.
today. Today it's 114 degrees, but like sometimes it's cold.
Can you imagine like walking to an Italian restaurant in 100-degree weather and being like, I'll take this spaghetti and meatballs and like a glass of Sangiovese, and then just like sitting outside and like roasting from the inside out? Honestly, I would probably do it.
Can I imagine doing it? Is that, do you mean, did I do it last week? Like, big yes.
You're like, did I have a
Yes, the
great
best.
time? Sure
Yeah,
fucking did.
for sure. My girlfriend's best friend was visiting last week. We were like, let's go to Carbone. Like, like,
Ah,
it's 1,000 degrees. Let's eat like the most possible meatballs,
no,
you know,
that's so
like in our
true.
neck fans, whatever.
No, absolutely. Are Carbone's meatballs good?
They are good. They're not like my favorite, but they're
Mhm.
good. My favorite meatball in New York.
Tell me.
I'm like, this is going to be the most controversial thing I've said in this entire episode about abortion. My favorite New York meatball, and like I'm a meatball girl, my favorite New York meatball is Ruby Rosa.
I have no judgment on that because I don't know what that is, but I am going to put that in my mental piggy bank, in my brain purse for later
Yeah.
because I too am a meatball girl. And I've
Good.
yet to find, I know it's great. It's a great place to be, but
Hmm.
I've only found like a couple LA meatballs that really scratch the itch as far as flavor profile, texture, density. I
Texture and
want,
density they're undersung qualities of a meatball.
yeah,
That's the most important thing.
don't fucking like roll ground beef into a ball and tell me that it's a
No,
meatball. It's not. I need
no,
density.
100%.
Wow. Thank you so much
Completely.
for going on that journey with me and also for giving
Of
us
course.
so many valuable tidbits of information,
Yeah.
including where to get a good meatball in New York City.
Oh yeah, Ruby Roast is my favorite meatball. I would say like my favorite bolognese, which is like a similar but different
Hmm.
thing, is
Hmm.
Arthur and Sons.
Oh my, I'm gonna drop all this valuable info in the show notes.
Yeah, but like for a meatball, like it has to be Ruby Rosa.
Ah, writing it down. Um,
Yeah.
Sophie, thank you so much for coming on today. This was truly a dream. Will you please let my listeners know where they can find you, plug anything you want to plug, just all the things?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on Instagram at Abortion Positivity. We are on TikTok at Abortion Positivity. We also have a website, abortionpositivity.com. If you would like to sign up for our email list, if you would like to sign up to be a monthly recurring donor, we would really, really, really appreciate your support. We need all the help that we can get to spread our abortion positive message. Once you follow us on Instagram, feel free to share and repost all of our abortion positive content if and be our friend.
Hell yeah. Thank you so, so much for coming on. Everyone, give Abortion Positivity Project a follow. And if y'all don't follow me already, follow me at Hannah Aaron Brown across platforms. If you love this podcast, leave it a rating and a review. Send this episode to a friend. Like and subscribe, all the things. Thank y'all so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.